Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Critical Misses. We're in the second half of Season 22. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me, as always, is Moonpair.
Howdy.
A couple pieces of news here. Moonpair has a new recording setup. If anything sounds weird, I apologize in advance. You gotta, when there's new audio stuff, you gotta shake the cobwebs loose for a little bit. So, things might be a little different.
No. The problem is we don't have any cobwebs. The
That's
cobwebs
right.
kept it stuck together. That's what
Yeah.
the issue is. Now it's all
Load-bearing
clean.
cobwebs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. If you did not catch us for the first episode of this season, let's go over that real quick. We are sending each other an album of cover songs. Last episode, Moonpier sent his over, and I listened to them, and we chatted about them. This time, that's the opposite. I sent Moon over 10 songs, and we're going to break them down. If you'd like to listen to it, in the show notes of this episode is the playlist itself. Please go over, listen to all at once, listen to one at a time, however you want. That's up to you. I'm not your dad. Let's start talking about these songs. Very first one up here is from a band I will probably never get the name right here. It's a cover of Radiohead's "Creep" by Scala and Kolskinny Brothers. I don't know how to pronounce that one. I figured I had to start with a Radiohead cover here, and probably one of the most famous covers here in this list. Have you heard this one before?
Well, I've heard "Creep" before, yes.
Sure, yeah. We were alive in the 90s.
Yes, and I owned a copy of Guitar Hero 1, I believe it was.
Oh, right, yeah.
So, for those that are listening in, I don't know if you remember, we had a conversation last episode about how it sure was a cover of Radioactive by a band, and how it was poisoned by the fact that it was literally by Imagine Dragons.
Right, and like the most famous song in the world for however long it was.
That's how I feel about this song.
That's
absolutely hate Creep. It is possibly one of my least favorite songs ever.
Oh no!
Because but the funny thing is it's one of those songs that when I first heard it, I liked it.
Yep.
And then I heard it 6 bajillion more times, because this is also one of those songs where someone pulls out an acoustic guitar and says, "Anyway, here's Creep" instead of Wonderwall.
That's right.
So I think the cover is good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the creepy sad clown. I will admit that much.
I think they should probably get rid of that. But
yes, but overall, I do think it is a solid cover. I like the fact that it's essentially just a choral version. I think it's called, when it's just choir.
Right, it's just like 75 ladies sadly singing this sad song.
It's a really good version. I just hate the song.
I definitely cannot blame you, because it really is one of those songs of like, I love this song so much, and if I never heard it again, it would be too soon. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I 100% get that. Yeah. Next track here we have a cover of Tori Amos's "Cornflake Girl" by Florence and the Machine.
That explains why I've never heard either of the versions of this song.
Oh no.
Dude, here is a box. Here, this is the box that I live in. It's about this big, this tall, this wide, and one of the reasons we do this show is because this is my box.
Yep.
Your box is about half the size of my box.
Right.
And they are on opposite sides of the planet in some instances.
So
definitely on opposite sides of the country.
So you never had your kind of listening to Tori Amos and angrily feeling your feelings phase in high school?
I don't even know who that is, dude.
Okay. Boy, I am certainly, as much as I love Tori Amos, I'm not going to pretend to sit here and be like the Tori Amos expert.
So you specifically said high school, right?
Yes. Her, whatever that album was, I'll look it up here while we're talking, was about the right time for for us in high school that
Mm-hmm.
it kind of, I think that was the right age for, yeah, it was Little Earthquakes. Her first album came out in 92. So like between that and Under the Pink that came out in 94 is all kind of like the right level of emotion at the right
Mm-hmm.
time for us to be in high school.
See, for me, that I think I sit just well, high school in England is different too. Like we finished that at 16.
Right.
Um, so for me, I was getting into the Feel My Feelings stage as Korn was coming around, Papa
Right.
Roach, Linkin Park. My Feel My Feelings stage was being forced to listen to Hanson through a wall
Right.
because
Right.
my sister was obsessed
Right.
with them. Um, I mean, it's a good song. Like I genuinely like it. It's just one of those things where it's like I tried to go back and listen to the originals, but as you might guess from the start of the show where Boston says I have a new setup,
Right.
that means that my time was questionable.
Right.
And with the living situation I'm in, like trying to have two headphones in to listen to music while at the same time dealing with everything else, it's
Right.
difficult, we all say. Um, I do like Florence and the Machine. I genuinely think like that one song that Florence and the Machine did that everybody loved that
Yep.
blew them up.
Yep.
I could do with never hearing that again, but I
That's
do
another
like a
good one.
good
Yeah.
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 I do like a good Florence and the Machine. Like the vocal she has is incredible. So
She's outstanding. And
uh-huh.
what's really interesting is it's interesting that you're talking about like your kind of feeling your feelings, kind of emo stage around when Korn was coming out. Is that was my experience too, where it's like I'm listening to Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails and Korn and White Zombie and all this stuff, and I'm listening to Tori Amos and Sarah McLachlan and all this stuff. Like there was this very much like the pendulum was swinging to the opposite ends of the spectrum pretty heavily, where it's like I'm listening to this, I'm listening to David Bowie's Earthling album, that like really weird super electronic album he put out kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to think like so for me like that whole conglomeration area like yeah, I had Linkin Park, Korn,
yep.
Nine Inch Nails, The Crow had just come out
Oh,
and
the
was an
first Crow
incredible
soundtrack.
movie.
When
Like
man, Golgotha
mhm.
Tenement Blues. Come on, man. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So that whole area, I think, if I'm looking at my lighter side of things, it was this because it was your Westlifes,
Mm,
your boy bands in the UK tended not to be as poppy as your boy bands over here.
sure, right.
Um,
They had a
like
little more
we
edge
had,
to them.
yeah, we had Westlife Boyzone, I think was another one, but
Right.
they had pop songs, but their like melancholy cuts were pretty solid too.
It wasn't the like
Um, a-
bubblegum pop that we had here at the in the same era.
yeah, like we still had NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and all that
And
jazz, but like
Aqua, of course.
yes,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was Boyzone, Westlife, and the South Park soundtrack for Chef Aid, of
Oh,
course,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
which introduced me to even more alternative music.
That's right. Oh man. All right, next song here is a cover of Dolly Parton's Jolene by Miley Cyrus. Standing in the backyard singing.
Uh-huh.
Would
So
you go ahead?
I have some thoughts about this.
Okay.
And again, this is something that I will hold my hands up and say I was wrong.
Hmm.
Maybe I wasn't wrong. Maybe I was right. Maybe Miley evolved with me. I did not like Miley Cyrus when she was the childhood prodigy supernova of television kind of thing.
Okay. That wasn't really
Um,
my speed either.
yeah, and I vehemently held that against her for way too long.
Sure. I think most of us did because it was like, ugh, here we go.
Yeah, oh, she's going down the downward spiral. Another child actor knocked into the gutter just like everybody else,
Right.
and it's not Miley's fault. kind of is, but it's also kind of not, like the stuff that is expected. Grown up Miley, I like.
Yeah.
I like older, mature, post rehab, post problems Miley. Because she's got an IDGAF. I almost said it out loud then.
Right.
Attitude, and I appreciate that about her.
Yeah.
I don't think young Miley could have done this. I think the gritty, like, harsh vocals that has arguably made her talent better. She couldn't have done this when she was younger, and I think she blows this one out of the water. Like,
yeah, because even this video we have here in the playlist is from 10 years ago. I think that's when she was not really in the height of the Wrecking Ball stuff, but maybe just a little bit after that. But she kills it in this performance. Like, just
it's fantastic.
Goes all the way for it.
Yeah, but I don't think vocally she could have pulled this off without the rough years.
Oh, for sure.
Years in the desert,
a little bit of grit.
Yeah, like I think that has changed her style significantly, and I appreciate her more now than I did then.
Right.
Hearing some of the covers that she's done has been incredible, and this happens to be a fantastic one.
Yeah, and it's nice to see. She clearly really loves this song. I mean, it's like one of the best songs of all time, and I feel like everybody has covered it.
And Dolly does such a good job too. Like, Dolly's version of this is insanely good.
Yeah, we talked about it last episode of, covers that have kind of been, taken from the original artist. I feel like this is one of those songs. Was like, yeah, the original is really great. Just like another. Dolly Parton, great. The one from the Bodyguard soundtrack, the Whitney Houston cover, the "I Will Always Love You."
Yes, that's literally what it's called.
Right. It's like someone else took that and made it theirs, and I feel like 50 people have taken Jolene and made it theirs. But it's nice to see someone do kind of this stripped down, kind of super casual version. I super appreciate that.
Yes, I honestly like it's a really good version.
Next song here is a cover of Radiohead's "Weird Fishes" by Leanne LaHavis.
So this is another song that I have never heard.
Okay, so you haven't heard the original?
Correct.
Okay.
Louise,
please. Louise. She loves music. She's here to hang out. So I found this cover because Radiohead's "Weird Fishes," on like 99% of the time, if you ask me what my favorite Radiohead song is, it's going to be that. It's easily one of my favorite songs ever. And I was watching live versions of that, and this cover popped up, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, someone's going to cover "Weird Fishes." Yeah, let's see how this is going to go. And she takes a really great song and just makes it way cooler. Like, this is an incredibly cool performance. Yeah,
it definitely. Stupid cat! I swear to God. If any of the purring came through, I apologize in advance.
It's a little bonus.
Yes, a little bonus cat mentions for you. Yeah, I've never heard the original for this one at all. It's a solid song. Like, I do like the performance. I do like the execution, and I love a good female lead singer, like we talked about. So, do I potentially have to add Radiohead onto the list for music because literally I know one of their songs?
Oh, Moon, I would love nothing more than to take you on a sonic journey of Radiohead, whose I love all of their albums except for one. I'll let everyone figure out which one that is. Hint, it's the one nobody likes.
So, yeah, like I said, I was trying to find originals so I could cross-check and reference them. I didn't have time to in this instance. Well, her performance is incredible. Like, the song is pretty solid. Her performance is great. And yeah, it's a good song overall. I can't judge a cover by its cover. because I
Heyo.
haven't judged the original book. But I
Yeah,
like this song definitely.
one of the things I like the most about the original is, I mean, besides Tom York's incredible vocal performance, because he always gives 110. I like the original is kind of this longing song about trying to kind of escape from where you started, where you grew up, that sort of thing. Kind of taking that opening to take the leap and kind of move on from one thing to another. And I like how she kind of takes that level of longing and kind of turns into this almost romantic sort of thing in this song.
Hmm.
This is probably one of the covers I go back to the most because it takes the original and kind of twists it a little bit, slows it down a little bit, and just, like I said earlier, just makes it really cool. Like, it's just a really cool song. And man, that voice. Whew.
Yeah.
So good.
Speaking of that voice.
Yeah. Our next song here, probably the most interesting video out of all of them, is a cover of Gautier's "Somebody That I Used to Know" by Ingrid Michaelson. And the video is important because she plays all of the instruments on this song, and it's kind of like a cut of all of her playing the instruments. What do you think about this? Probably another song where you're like, yeah, if I didn't hear that one again, I'd be okay.
It is 100%. It's one of those songs. Like,
Yep.
we talked before. I have a Muse station on my radio playlist thing that just plays songs like Muse,
Yep.
which is kind of difficult, we'll say,
Right.
to put them in a box that way. And the original of this, I think it's the original. I don't even know. Shows up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you're right. I absolutely don't like this song, but this cover is absolutely incredible.
Yep.
It's everything is taken all the way down to the bare bones, and I love like the drumming is just tapping, the percussion is nails. Like, it's minimalistic in all of the ways that I love, and I love the fact that it's a very soft, gentle, easygoing version of this song until it hits, and when it hits, it's a really good hit. Like, I think it's the second time they loop through the chorus.
Yep.
It's a really good loop through of that like chorus moment. Then it brings it all the way back down again to the minimal, and then for the final version of the chorus, they do the hit again. That execution is really, really good.
Yeah, it feels like she really kind of gets what the core of the song is, and then kind of makes it her own. Yeah, I really like Ingrid Michaelson. Sorry. If anyone hasn't listened to any of her stuff and you like this cover, pretty much anything you can hear from her is incredible. And it's the same kind of like intimate, stripped down sort of, not like folksy stuff, but kind of chill stuff.
Yeah.
And I really like her interpretation of this. I actually really...
The xylophone.
Yeah, her little... I actually really like a lot of this Gautier album. If anyone hasn't heard it, this is probably the worst song on the album. A lot of it is weirdly experimental and just an odd album in kind of an interesting way. It's just this song was wildly and horrifically popular. Still a good song, but like we said,
yeah,
I'm okay not listening to it again. But go listen to Ingrid Michaelson. She's really great.
Yes, please.
Next song here, another one of my favorite songs of all time, Death Cab for Cutie's Photo Booth, covered by Julian Baker. You might have heard Julian Baker as part of, I don't remember what her band is called. It's really big all of a sudden. I'm going to assume this isn't one that you're familiar with.
You are correct. I have no idea. I don't think I've heard a single song by Death Cab for Cutie and known about it, unless it was on the OC.
The chances are really good.
I'm pretty sure they were, because I think they get name dropped in the OC. Like, that's...
I do not doubt that. Yeah.
So I have very minimal experience with Death Cab for Cutie, and I will say This one I did listen to the original.
Mm.
The problem is I listened to the original after this version.
Right.
I think this version is better.
I agree. I like the original a lot because I'd like Death Cab a lot. As they're one of my favorite bands, but this is another one where she takes this and makes it her own and like really gets kind of the spirit of the song.
The style change is such an improvement. Like it
Yes.
is such an improvement. Like rather than, and I'm one of them, so I can say this freely. Rather than the emo "woe is me" BS that you get on the Death Cab version, especially with the harder drums, the harder guitar, the harder everything, it literally becomes the most sad, melancholy song ever, and that's great.
Yeah, it's interesting because this is a very, I'd consider this an early Death Cab song. So some of their stuff had drum machines, some of it had kind of very emo stylings of that era. More modern Death Cab stuff is pretty different. But a lot of Death Cab stuff, including this song, for me is always this kind of like a goodbye to something. And the song is a lot poppier than this cover. And like this cover is this like bittersweet...
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's like this bittersweet like summer romance. Like the summer is ending and you're kind of going your separate ways, even though maybe you don't want to. You had all these kind of stereotypical moments throughout the summer. And her performance just so good. She's one of the members of Boy Genius. If anyone has heard their stuff, they're pretty popular at the moment.
I don't even know who that is either.
Okay. If anyone also likes this, please go listen to more Julian Baker. It's all this same kind of like level of heart-wrenching melancholy that I click with every once in a while.
Yeah.
This is another one where I was looking for live performances of the original song, and I was like, oh, I wonder what this song sounds like now, 10, 15 years after the original, because a lot of bands, I like when they revisit it and they kind of turned it into a new version. And I saw this video, and I was like, well, I'm done looking. I'm good. She did perform this a couple of times with Death Cab. She did the singing, and the rest of the band did the performance, and those were 11 out of 10. Incredible. So good. Gosh.
Photo Booth Taylor's version.
Yes, exactly. Next track here, we're getting a cover of Tame Impala's Let It Happen by Meg Mac. Go ahead.
Who is Tame Impala?
Okay. Tame Impala is a... You have probably... If you haven't heard Let It Happen, you've probably heard one or two of their more popular songs. That you'd have to look.
100%.
The Less I Know, the Better is another one of those. And I think Let It Happen is probably their most famous one, I think. But not super surprising that you may not have heard the original. I don't even really know who Meg Mac is. But I was looking through the Triple J like a version, which is very much like what we were talking about last episode of they do one of their songs and then they do a cover song.
Yes.
And I like Tame Impala a lot, and I was like, okay, like how is someone going to cover Let It Happen? And they do a hell of a cover, man. Did you get a chance to listen to the original?
It's a beautiful song. I didn't, unfortunately, know. The cover is beautiful. They have fantastic. Are they twins? I think they might be twins. I don't know anymore.
It's one of those things of like I don't know, but I kind of don't want to know because like I like the idea of like, are they sisters? Are they twins? What's going on? They got a Tegan and Sarah thing going on here. What's happening?
You just mentioned the name. I have no idea who that is. Yeah,
it's all they're all in the same spirit here.
Okay. No, I think the performance is great. It's just for me, this was just an enjoyable song.
Yeah.
Like it was just one where I sat down. I was like, I don't really need to hear the original anymore. Like I enjoyed this version of it.
So the most wild thing about this, and the reason why I like this cover a lot, is they actually add a ton of lyrics above and beyond the original.
Okay.
So the original is largely kind of one chorus after another, like that "Let It Happen" section. They just kind of repeat that a couple of times, and then in between are instrumental sections, and they actually add lyrics to the instrumental sections because the instrumental sections are like a little bit electronic. They're adding words to replace the electronic parts of the original
Okay.
song. So it's this really interesting thing of them kind of taking something in the original song that kind of sounds like maybe somebody like mumbling, singing in the background. Maybe you can't make it out, maybe you're not supposed to. Them kind of bringing that to the forefront and putting lyrics on top of it. So it's an interesting case of like you love the original song and you got it, and then you kind of took an opportunity to make it your own at the same time, which is interesting.
It's Tame Impala expanded universe.
That's right. It's the director's cut. Yeah. So I thought that was neat, and even if you don't know the original, even if you're like me and you don't know who Meg Mac is, it's a hell of a vocal performance. Like they really go for it the entire time. I like seeing that.
Yeah, it is really, really good.
Yeah. Next one is a cover of Elton John's "Goodbye Yellow Brick Road" by Sarah Bareilles, I think is how you pronounce her last name. I always get it wrong.
Is it not you who's a huge fan of Sarah Bareilles?
No, shockingly, I am not.
Okay, I know I have spoken to at least several people who are giant fans of Sarah Bareilles, huge fans of Sarah Bareilles. It is one of those names that has whispered around in the back of my head for years as a ironically enough, a great American voice talent, which is where this performance is from, by the way, folks. American Voices. It's one of those things that has always jiggled in my brain as, yeah, this is someone I should probably check out at some point. And as someone who is not an Elton John fan, so I have a very similar experience with Elton John and the Beatles. Musically, they are fantastic. The things that they did in the world of music is also fantastic.
Got nothing but respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like
That's
it.
right.
Not at all. This performance, on the other hand, is fantastic. I knew she was a good singer. I love the fact that it's like it's got the orchestral background too.
Yep.
Boston, I'm going to ruin this for you right now. On the profile shot that we have in the video where it's sideways on, and some of the foreshots, she just completely reminds me of Gina from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. She's got the same facial structure.
100%, yes.
So every time I had to listen to this without watching the video, because every time I was watching the video and it would flip to the side on
be like hashtag orchestra, LOL.
Yes, or the dancing sequences that Gina did all the time would just be in my head while I was watching this. So that was hilarious to me. But no, this performance is insane. It's so good.
Yeah, so I like the original. I'm the same with you. Elton John's never really clicked with me, but it's fine. Like
it's a good original song though. It is.
Yeah, I like the original a whole lot, and my original cover that was going to go in here was the Queens of the Stone Age cover, because there were two cover albums that were put out a couple of years ago, and they were very similar track listings, but one album is all country music stars doing Elton John covers, and one is pop and rock covers. So the two of them are very good because it's kind of two completely different takes on some of his most famous songs. And Queens of Stone Age does a cover of this song, and it's good, and I love Queens of Stone Age, one of my favorite bands. But when I was
not this good.
Well, like when I was pulling this up, it was showing me, the YouTube recommended videos, and I always ignore them because they're always garbage. And this one is like, oh, here's a live cover of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Sarah Bareilles. And I was like, oh, I've not heard anything from Sarah Bareilles in a while. It's like 4-minute song. Let's watch this. And it's just like, well, that one goes in. Get out of here. Queens of Stone Age. This garbage. Get out of here.
I'm telling you, I got two seasons worth of this stuff while I was researching it.
Yep. So that was an easy, like, as much as I love the original, I was going to put another Queens of Stone Age cover in there, but I knew you for sure would not know the original. And I was just like, all right, Sarah, come on in. You're great. And this is one of those, like, absolutely blow you away vocal performances that's just like...
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's playing the piano, too, which is very Elton John. To be playing the piano and doing the singing and nailing them both and knocking it out the park on both.
Right. And this is like the first song she played, because the beginning of the video is her just like coming on stage and being like, all right, I'm ready. Let's go play the song. And then puts out like the most incredible version of this song ever. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Cool. Good job.
Good job, Sarah.
Yeah. Next song here, we're getting a cover of Chris Gaines's Lost in You by Childish Gambino. So, some definitions here. Do you know who Childish Gambino is?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know who Chris Gaines is?
No.
Okay. So, Chris Gaines. I'm so happy I'm the one that gets to tell you about this. I could cry. Chris Gaines showed up in, I think it was the mid-90s, with an album that dropped out of nowhere with an incredible amount of marketing and a VH1 Behind the Music documentary.
Wait, doesn't that usually happen after the crash and burn?
Uh-huh. And this was after the crash and burn. And everyone was like, wait, sorry, there's someone with Behind the Music and a Greatest Hits album that we've never heard.
Okay.
And the artist put out an incredible sounding album that has kind of aged better than it released. And it was found out later that it was this emo-looking side project of Garth Brooks.
As in country singer Garth Brooks.
As country singer, music star Garth Brooks put out an album that he pushes his voice in really interesting ways, but because he did it in probably, we'd call it cringeworthy now. He put it out in probably the most cringeworthy way. People discounted it for probably like 20 years or so. So one of the most wild things. And this was, for me, was another one where it's like, I know this song because it is Garth Brooks' only top 40 hit. And I love Childish Gambino, and this is another Triple J like a version. And I watched this and I was like, yeah, man.
So I haven't heard the original for this, and unfortunately I didn't have time to go back and listen to the original, which I'm pretty sure is probably for a good thing.
Well, the original is really good, but this is a pretty faithful cover, so you're kind of getting the original mostly.
Yeah, okay. I hate super geniuses. I just want to...
You can't be good at everything.
This is what I'm saying.
You keep it to yourself. Donald Glover.
Yeah, I mean, can we talk about Donald Glover being an incredible actor, a really good stand-up comedian, fantastic singer, musician?
I love all of his music so much.
Like...
You're too good.
I hate him so much.
That's right.
Like, just for the record, I don't hate him. I hate the fact that he is this good at everything. Because this performance is beautiful. It's heartfelt. It's incredible. He steps back when he needs to step back. Like,
yep.
It's really, really good. Like,
one might say it's too good.
Yes. One might say that he needs to, like, not do anything for a while and let the rest of us have some limelight, you know?
That's right. That's right. Oh, man. I love his stuff so much.
He's super talented. Like, it is ridiculous how talented he is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you've only heard his kind of heavier or more rap focused stuff, I feel like this is a cover you really need to listen to, where he's got those pipes. Like he's an incredible singer, kind of on every different front.
Yeah.
So good.
I don't know how he does it. I wish I knew how he did it, but he's one of those people.
He's just good.
Yeah. Too good. He's an alien in disguise. He's a robot.
That's right.
Sent from the future.
Right. And my last track here, and the one I saved for the last, cover of Tool's The Pot by Brass Attacks, featuring Sofia Urista, I'm going to guess. Take it away, Moon.
I don't know.
It's certainly
it's different.
The most unique cover you've heard.
Yes, definitely. It is difficult to cover Tool at the best of times. I think if you're gonna cover them, you kind of have to do your own thing. Well, boy, do these guys do their own thing. Okay, so it is a good performance. I think it's funny that, and I'm using the term funny in a loving way. Yes. That they are literally doing brass versions of the Tool songs.
And it's like the guitar and bass are covered with brass instruments.
Yes. Yeah. Like there's a saxophones and trumpets, and it's hilarious. The trumpets I don't like the fact that when they try and do the slide on the guitar, like when it does the slide note, it sounds like a slide whistle because it's coming out of a trumpet.
It's like
me a lot.
That's probably one of my favorite parts of the song, because it's a really clever version of that note, and I think it largely works, and it kind of sounds goofy at the same time in a way that I like and I don't.
Oh, 100%. Like that's exactly how I feel. Like, respect to them. The performance is good. The execution is great. The female lead singer is incredible. Like,
she's so good.
Like, get me a different backing band, please. Get her with the kids, and then get the kids to play the music and her to do the vocals.
Take it around the country. Yep.
Like, I'd love to hear that version. This is both great, goofy, and stupid and terrible in all of the different ways it can be.
That's why I had to include it in here. It's like, you can have a regular cover of a Tool song, like we saw in the previous episode. It was a pretty straightforward cover. You added a little bit of piano. This one kind of takes the other aspect, where it's like, yeah, we got drums, we got a guitar, we have about 7 different brass instruments, and we're all just going for it. And does it work? Not 100%, but it's certainly not the cover you would normally hear.
That is correct. Yeah. It's fine. It's worth a listen just to hear the bass, but I think it's the bass on saxophone. It's just it's so funny and goofy. It's worthwhile listening to. It would not be a recommendation like, oh, what's a good Tool cover? Well, if you want goofy, this might be one for you.
If you want something kind of a little more fun for a song that kind of isn't fun to begin with,
yes.
But at the very least, you should listen to the vocal performance here by her.
It's so good. She
has that power you want from someone that's covering a Tool song. You want that kind of like that inner push, that inner fire that you want someone to have, especially for this song, because this song is a very biting Tool song, kind of like 100%. Very OG Tool stuff.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good cover. It's so goofy.
Yeah, it's great. I needed to finish this list with a very serious song taken very not seriously.
No, with the slide whistle.
That's right, exactly. The best way that these things end off. All right, that's my 10 songs of sad ladies singing sad songs. The Boston cover album.
I will say, I do apologize for not being able to listen to more of the originals after the fact, but as I was explaining, like, there's a lot going on right now, and like this new setup, like I had to do this over the course of like 5 days, and I'm still not really finished setting it up yet.
15,
So
20 minutes here and there. Well,
yeah,
it's always the
exactly.
thing of like, that's the great thing about covers. And I'm sure we talked about this in the last episode, but you know, some covers are good because they are covers of a song you've heard a bajillion times. That's why covers of Toto's Africa are great. You know that song by heart. Everybody does. And that's why some covers are good, but there's also some of these covers that are like, you hear the cover first, and that's why it's so good. Like Photo Booth. You're gonna hear that cover and be like, God, just a 10 out of 10 song, incredible. You listen to the original and you go, yeah, but yeah. And like that's an important part of some covers is you going like, yeah, I mean that's good and all, but this cover is sitting over here. And I think that's part of the like enjoying a cover's experience is you get both of those things, and I think both of those experiences can be really powerful.
Oh, 100%. And like I love that discovery as well of like, this is a cover I didn't know, let me listen to the original. And very rarely for me it flips, so the original is better. But yeah, it's a pretty solid list all the way around, I will say.
Yeah. And I'm also the same. I probably could scrounge up another cover. Originally, so for people out there that know Cake's most famous cover is I Will Survive. That was originally going to open this, but I didn't want that to be Moon's first experience with Cake. Would be their most divisive cover.
Yes. So. Who is Cake? I don't know.
Yeah. You know
Cheesecake.
Well, I mean, we all love Cheesecake, but you know who Cake is because their most famous song is "The Distance," and literally everybody has heard it if you were alive during the '90s. You just don't know it by name. It's one of those bands of like you hear
definitely don't. You say "The Distance," I hear "Poets of the Fall." So
right. But if as soon as you hear that reluctantly crouched at the starting line, engines pumping and thumping in time, as soon as you hear that song, you'll be like, oh yeah, it's that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. This is the end of season 22. Hopefully you enjoyed us taking kind of a little bit of a different musical path here. We'll do, sounds like we're doing Radiohead next, maybe? Not next season.
No,
next musical thing.
We still have a production meeting to go.
Yes, we do. Thank you for reminding me about the production meetings over at patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers.
If you want to hear the behind-the-scenes creation, founding of each one of these seasons, you can get that exclusively over the $5 tier or higher. I'll remind everyone that those are uncensored because they are really off the cuff. Some production meetings that is more important than others. So know that going in, and you'll get a behind-the-scenes peek of like what the spreadsheet looks like, then kind of the twists and turns that take us from, boy, we're definitely doing this for next season, then turn. Nope, we're doing this.
Handbrake turn.
That's right. So check all of that out at patreon.com/E1M1.
Ones are numbers.
Thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.